to talk about
I'm going to be able to tell you about...
At some stage, we might need to talk about that, Sal.
Yeah. Nobody said anything yet. And footballers trying to keep entertained in various... Who said James Milner was boring? He's great, isn't he? I love him.
Great entertainment.
Yeah. There's so many things like that. Carol, that's a beautiful... Yes, presuming it's a sunrise. Morning.
That's right.
Carol, see you in about half an hour. Thank you.
6:45. Now, many of the biggest names in business have sent their workers home amid the spread of coronavirus. But what if you run a factory or a smaller company that can't easily ask employees to work from home?
That's a really good question. So Nina is in Burnley to find out how they are coping. Good morning to you, Nina. Very much indeed. And Bonnie, very good morning to you. Welcome to Breakfast with Dan Walker and Louise Minchin.
It's 7 o'clock. These are the headlines for you.
Let's look at the morning's weather. Carol's got all the details. Hello.
Good morning, everyone.
We shall see you then. Thanks very much, Carol.
As we've been telling you this morning, schools and businesses in France are now closed, while the Spanish government has banned citizens from leaving their homes unless they're going to work or picking up urgent food or medical supplies.
Alone in having problems getting home, Nick Serple and his wife Narina are on what should have been actually a year-long trip around Europe in their motorhome. They're now having to cut it short. Let's speak to Nick. He's in southern France. Morning to you. Just tell us about your situation. What's it been like? Shops are closed. Does that mean literally you cannot buy food?
No, food shops are open.
Be alone in trying to get back. What are other people saying to you? And are you thinking you will be able to get back in the next couple of days?
Yeah, well,
People are having various different difficulties, aren't they? We know that people, for example, on board cruise ships, we've got the incoming ban from America on flights that happens at 4 a.m. tomorrow morning. So there are so many things changing all the time, specifically to do with, you know, transport, how to get back home. Can you get back home, for example?
And of course, we're building up to the Easter holidays, which is that sort of thing. Because you know, we're finding this morning as well. People are worried, and there are genuine concerns about health, about relatives, about friends, about members of your family, and about yourself as well. But there's also that desire to make sure that those who are vulnerable, those who are worried, there's support from others in the community, maybe people you don't even know.
Exactly. And with
hand sanitizer, etc. I mean, presumably getting even hold of it is a problem, or how are you managing to do that?
well, it's tough.
What's been really lovely is seeing sort of kindness. There's so much kindness around. Do you think, you know, some of us, I mean, apart from people perhaps stockpiling, you know, do you think there's a kind of people really feel that that is the way they can help get themselves through it as well?
Yeah.
This morning, Rachel, is that, you know, this is one of these. Sally was talking about the fact that this is actually affect it ourselves in terms of the hygiene, washing of hands, and those sort of self-isolating measures if we've got symptoms, but also in looking after other people. It's something you can't rely on someone else to do. It's actually a step you can take yourself, which is actually quite a positive way of looking at it. Do let us know if you're involved in any of those projects, or maybe you've been helped by that. I was loving seeing stuff on social media over the weekend as well about some of those shops that are opening up specifically for 1 hour for older people to go and shop between 8 o'clock and 9 o'clock in the morning, and asking other customers not to come into the shop at that time. It's just it's tiny little things like that, isn't it, that make a big difference.
You are watching Breakfast. We'll keep you right up to date with what's a continuing story and answering your questions as well. Everything you need to know about coronavirus, we will try and have it here for you. 7:27, news, travel and weather, wherever you are right now. Hello, very good morning to you. You're watching Breakfast with Dan and Louise.
Large-scale events like football matches and music festivals in Scotland are cancelled from today, and that's to try and free up emergency services to deal with coronavirus. The First Minister...
We know that there's going to be that COBRA meeting later, and then we're going to have these, as we now know, daily news conferences after that as well.
Yeah, that's a big change from this morning. For the latest developments on the coronavirus outbreak,
Nina is at a factory in Burnley to find out how they are coping there. Very good morning to you.
Really helpful advice. Thank you very much for that this morning. And that's what we're trying to do today. We're trying to answer. I know many of you are sort of watching and asking questions while you're listening. We're trying to get through as many of those questions as we can. We've got a really interesting health panel coming up at 8:10 as well.
One of the questions, for example, I'm going to ask is, this is from Dorothy. Having self-isolated with symptoms of coronavirus, my questions are, without being tested, how can I find out whether I have had it officially? Very good question, Dorothy. We've got this health panel. Go on.
I like this one from Patricia. How do I self-isolate when there are 2 other people in my household who are still going out to work? I have a chronic health condition and we live in a small house with 1 bathroom.
We can't answer the questions, but our panel will be able to answer that. 8:10.
Yes, all very important.
Thank you for
sort of getting involved in the discussion this morning. But hopefully we're trying to give you that sort of clear, accurate information.
Let's talk about what's going on in Scotland, actually. Mass gatherings of more than 500 people in Scotland should not take place from today to help ease the burden on the emergency services during the coronavirus outbreak.
Professor Jason... Good morning, it's Monday the 16th of March. Really busy morning this morning. We're trying to do our best to keep you across everything you need to know with regard to the latest on the coronavirus outbreak. We've got health experts coming up for you, trying to give you some clear guidance, and thank you for all the questions that you're sending through to us this morning as well.
Yeah, so let's tell you about what's the main part of the coronavirus story this morning. The Prime Minister and scientific advisors will discuss what further action the UK will take to combat the virus at an emergency COBRA meeting. Lots of news about travel companies this morning. Holiday company TUI is suspending nearly all operations. Both EasyJet and British Airways are cutting hundreds of flights as a result of travel restrictions caused by the coronavirus pandemic. In place, tell us what they are and how they're being enforced. Morning. From Rome to Paris, our correspondent Hugh Schofield is in the French capital, and the restrictions aren't quite so tight there, but what's going on in France?
Well,
very interesting seeing what's going on in other countries. Thank you so much.
Lots of people sending in sort of your individual questions. We're trying to sort of bring them all together, cover as much as we possibly can. Questions about, you know, catching it from animals as well as humans. Can you get it twice? What happens if the virus comes back a little bit later on in the year? So we'll try and get as much sort of detailed, clear and accurate information from you, from people who actually know what they're talking about.
Yeah. A supermarket in Northern Ireland has set aside special opening hours for older people to do their shopping during the coronavirus outbreak. So there are lots of different things, nice things happening as well. We'll try to keep you up to date with those. And one of my favourites is seeing all, people singing on balconies in Italy. Anyway, let's catch up with Carol, who's got the weather.
Thanks, Lou. Good.
Speak to, if we can, to Dr. Chan about the NHS. How prepared is the NHS and what is having to change?
First of all, we're talking about
testing. Tom Solomon and Lisa asks, how will we know true numbers infective if we only test those who are actually hospitalised, and does it matter?
Well, we won't know
The government does look at that again in the sort of coming days. We know they're having that daily press conference now as well. Can I come back to you on an issue that lots of people are asking as well about self-isolation? I mean, this is Patricia's specific question, but yeah, I'm sure it applies to different people in different ways. She says, how do I self-isolate when there are two people in my household who are still going to work? I have a chronic condition. We live in a small house with one bathroom. Now, there are many people who are self-isolating at the moment or considering doing it and how they would do it. What is the best practice, best advice for somebody like Patricia in that situation?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredibly challenging depending...
Pick up a point you were talking about, isolation, because, it's a hard thing to do. It brings, loneliness for people as well. So, what can we do about that?
Yeah, look, first of all, we know...
A few quick-fire ones. Lots of people asking these questions. Can you get it twice?
We think you cannot get this twice.
Very good morning. You are watching Breakfast with Dan and Louise.